This podcast is hosted on podhome.fm, the most modern podcast hosting platform. Podhome offers unlimited episodes and podcasts, and unlimited use of Podhome AI, which generates transcripts, clips, chapters, title suggestions, show notes, and much more. And all of that for just $15.99 a month or $185 per year. That's a steal. So go to podhome.fm and start your 30-day trial now. And enjoy the show with Joe.
Rooz Show, the show where we talk about anything and everything, where nothing is sacred, nothing is watered down, and nothing is PC.
Alrighty, well, hey folks, this is Joe Rooz, and it is great to be with you once again, transmitting live, of course, from the asylum, and as always, doing the very best that we can to bring you the best quality talk radio we could muster, without all the bluster. Welcome to the show, folks. Hope you guys are ready for a good one, because I have a question for you that our guest is probably going to be able to answer a lot better than any of us can. What if George Washington suddenly returned, not to 1776, but to America in 2026? Would he recognize the nation that he helped create? Would he be encouraged, or do you think he'd be deeply troubled? My guest tonight is going to be author William Gensburger, co-author of The Path of Duty and Honor, a political thriller that asks exactly that question. But our conversation is probably going to tend to wander off beyond the one novel. We're going to explore the Constitution, civic responsibility, artificial intelligence, historical research, and why good fiction often asks the questions that we're afraid to ask ourselves. So stay with us. I think you're going to really enjoy this one. But before we get into it, let's take care of some of the usual housekeeping that we do. If you would, please head over to our website, joerooz.com, joerooz.com. When you get there, look for the contact form. It's hidden in that little pancake in the upper right corner. Open that thing up, fire us off a message, let us know whatever's on your heart, whatever's in your mind, any questions, comments, cares, or concerns that you might have. Maybe you have a complaint. Shouldn't, but you might. Maybe you have a suggestion for a guest or a particular topic you'd like us to try to cover on the show one night. Let us know. We would love to hear from you guys. Now, if you don't want to use the web form, totally get that. I can't stand the capture stuff myself, so I try to avoid it at all costs. You can email me directly at info@joerooz.com. That's info@joerooz.com. And for those of you reading the transcript, it's R-O-O-Z, not R-U-S-E, that the transcript always puts. Gotta love the AI stuff, all right? info@joerooz.com. Also, another great idea is you can use the comment section down below there, if you'd like, on Rumble or on YouTube. No matter how you do it, we'll make sure we get it, and we'll get back to you as long as we can. All right. And also, please don't forget, folks, that this is a live show weeknights at 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then, of course, on our Sunday show every Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. Central Time. That's our Sunday Bible study show. We look forward to catching up with you there as well. And then also, incredibly important, please don't forget, like, subscribe, and share the show with your friends, your family, and your followers. That way you'll help to spread the love, the inestimable joy of being part of the Joe Rooz Show. Like, subscribe, and share it. Please do that. All right. And tonight's guest is brought to us by Creative Edge. Can't find the banner that I had set up for it, so we're going to have to let it go. But tonight's guest is brought to us by Creative Edge. Publicity at its finest for all creatives, your brand and your future. Now, tonight we are joined by author William Gensburger. William is a former journalist, newspaper publisher, and public school teacher who has built a career writing thought-provoking fiction that blends history, politics, technology, and philosophy. He's the author of multiple novels, including the Texas Dead mystery series, Verisium, Multiplicity, and most recently, The Path of Duty and Honor, a collaboration with best-selling author J.C. Ryan that imagines what happens if George Washington suddenly returned to modern America, and there's the hum again. William's story tackles everything from artificial intelligence to ethics to civic responsibility and the future of our country, and today we're going to explore the ideas behind his writing. and his approach to storytelling and what's next on the horizon. And for those of you wondering what I meant by the hum is back, that's an inside thing that William and I know about, and hopefully you're not getting. So, William, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Joe. Very pleasure to be here. And that's a kind of a dangerous innuendo you made, though. So,
which one? There were several.
The hum one. You might need to explain that a little bit. Yeah, it's a technical electrical thing. Okay,
yes,
it's for people with a foul mind.
And you know what? That just goes to show you, because normally I would think like that too.
Yeah.
But just to show you how tired I am today, I didn't pick up on it right away. But yes, so there's some kind of a unhappy wire somewhere that's causing this hum in my headset, and I'm not sure if you guys are hearing it or not. If you are, I apologize, and we'll get it fixed for the next time. But and as you know, we don't edit things, so there's no removal of it. So there it goes.
Well, I better be careful then.
Yes, you have to be careful. The show is a live show, so we are.
Right.
Yes. All right. Now, I think before we get really into the heart of the matter, one of the more interesting things that I've learned since I've been reading up on your background is that you and J.C. Ryan hooked up at some point. Hooked up in the platonic sense, of course. This is the word.
Thank you.
But I, from what I understand, you guys known each other for a decade, or nearly a decade.
Yeah. Actually, about 10 years. We actually met. Now I've got a croaky voice today because this sinus thing is driving me nuts.
You're good.
But I met him when I was doing voice work, and his first 2 books he had asked me to narrate, which I did, and then we got to chatting and just developed a friendship. And over the years, we talked about writing something together, and just hard to kind of mesh 2 authors that, the work ethics, time zones, because he was in Australia, and so we probably did video chats about 2 or 3 times a week, just life, and then we settled down on this as an idea, because this originally actually came about 10 years ago from another friend of mine who's a ABC 7 newscaster in San Francisco, Dan Ashley. And he and I tried to do this as a screenplay about 10 years ago, and we got some of it done. We didn't get a whole lot of it done, but it really went nowhere. And he went on to other things. He's got a rock band, and as well as his day job. Yeah. And so I said, well,
living the dream.
Yeah, seriously. And I said, so would you mind if I try to turn this into a novel? He's like, no, go for it. So that's what I did. I sat down, and then, of course, we were coming up on the 250th, which seemed like the perfect time to do a George Washington story. We even put it on the cover. I have a little badge there just in case people didn't realize it's not a nonfiction book; it's a fiction book. And so that was a perfect vehicle for both of us. And both of us like history, and we had done a lot of research already, and so we were able to get it done relatively quickly. With a massive amount of historical information that we had dug up. And I can tell you everything in the book about Washington is 100% accurate. And some of his dialogue, but most of his dialogue, obviously not, because if you've ever read his speeches, no way you'd put it in a book.
Yeah, actually, American history, particularly that period of American history, is one of my favorites to study. Mm-hmm. And so I've read countless books on the founding fathers. I've read books, biographies on John Adams and my president, Thomas Jefferson. Mm-hmm. And I love it so much. I actually have this sitting here at my desk.
Very good. Very good. I wish that more people were interested. It's you follow the media and you watch people like Jesse Waters doing interviews, man on the street, asking them, what was the Revolutionary War, and and nobody knows. Mm-hmm. And it's scary. All the young people don't know it because we're not teaching it anymore, or their view of it is, they were just a bunch of wealthy slave owners. And it's like, okay, you come up with an idea that's as good as this, okay, and we'll talk about your faults at that point.
Right, exactly. And that's something that I talk about on the show quite a bit. It's the shamefulness of the fact that they don't teach American history anymore. Yeah. And I think that kind of started when I was in school, because I was in grade school in the 70s, and it was I do remember getting some American history, but as I progressed in my education, it was becoming less and less American history, and it became more of global studies and world history and so.
Right.
And now I don't even think if they even teach history, American history.
Technically, they do under social studies, but if you ever go and look in a classroom, you've got 35 kids with scattered attention spans, behavior issues, smart kids, not so smart kids, lazy kids, and which is, of course, not a PC term, but trust me, they are.
This isn't a PC show, so you can say what you want.
How does a teacher sit down? And I used to, when I was a teacher, I used to say, okay, here's a story for you. You've got two guys. Let's call them Joe and William. Identical twins, okay? Super geniuses.
Well, one's
absolutely,
a little better
100%.
looking than the other. So.
Well, one has hair, one doesn't. But anyway, we can nitpick that later. Super geniuses, top grade, top of their class, all the way through medical school. They went to get, degrees in surgery, vascular surgery, et cetera. Okay. And the only difference between them is Joe only operates on one patient at a time, but William has 5 at a time, for diversity's sake. Okay, which one do you want to do your brain surgery? Okay.
I think I'd pick the single guy.
Yeah, and that's the classroom today, though. But the classroom today is you've got one teacher trying to control 29 different personalities with zero accountability, and parents that don't parent, and so it's a nightmare. So, and then you wonder why nobody learns anything, and that's why nobody learns anything.
Yeah, well, also curriculum too. I mean, they skew the curriculum now. It's in such a far leftist way that they paint anything that has to do with republicanism, not republic, not being a Republican, but a republicanism, as the ultimate evil in the world, and the only thing that can solve the world's problems is socialism, communism, which we all know. Yes. Doesn't do that.
No.
It just makes people equally miserable. That's about it.
It really does, and it doesn't work. And here's the thing: I mean, if you look historically and currently through the entire planet, socialism doesn't work at all. I mean, there's no country where it's like, oh yeah, this is fantastic, we're all doing well. Right?
And of course, a lot of those of that particular persuasion would love to point to countries like Norway and Sweden and places like that.
Still capitalistic.
Exactly. I was going to say that.
Yep.
They have a very generous social program, but it's all built on capitalism.
Right.
You can't have socialism without capitalism. You can't do it. It's impossible. Because like Margaret Thatcher once said famously, sooner or later you're going to run out of people's money.
Well, and that's it. That's exactly what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, and look what's happening in New York City right now. Yeah. I mean, I'm from New York. I'm not a native Texan.
Yeah, I've got a good friend in New York, and it's like,
it's a scary time. It
really is, and I don't know how that's going to play out. But we are in a new territory for sure.
Absolutely.
But, so anyway, going back to J.C. Ryan, though, so we managed to. The goal of this was to try to get it out, and we had the brilliant idea: we're going to send a copy out to anybody of influence. So. And of course, we included the president in there as well, even though he is not the president in the book. This book is nonpartisan, and we even have a female president, Maria Kander. And you can't read it and say pretty much who's who, because really the plot is more about Washington's vision versus our current state of Washington, which is a mess. And so, because we wanted to, unlike a lot of people, we didn't want to exclude 50% of the audience because we had to be a political side, and so we did that. And we sent the Trump a copy as well, and did get a very nice, reply back from, thank you for sending this, and didn't say anything about reading it, but
one of the butlers sent it.
Yeah, and we figured, okay, fine, I can. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun to write, and overwhelmingly the comments we got, people loved George Washington. The way he was presented, we put him in modern times, but we kept George's historical accuracy. Now we did change a few things. He's about mid-50s, so he's not as old as when he died, and he's got beautiful teeth. So those were the two things we did change. Okay. Because how do you sell a character that's got really especially if you know about George Washington's teeth, right? Not pretty. So, so we figured make him as likable as possible. And, but everything about him, I mean, when they first encounter him, he's wearing his Continental Army outfit, and it's, high quality, not like you buy today. And everything about the man is genuine. So the story basically is that Nathan Scott is an author who wrote a book called By George, and in his book, which is controversial, he implies that George Washington had descendants from a relationship with his slaves, which of course is not true. But so that's kind of the thrust of how he gets his book promoted, and he winds up meeting George Washington. And along the way, George becomes a social media star, which is what brings him to the attention of the president, who is trying to celebrate the 250th and putting together things. And so that's how we get them all together. And in the meantime, of course, we've got the opposition trying to get rid of him and discredit him, much like we currently have. And so I think it's a fun story. And I think one of the things people really did remark on us, outside of liking George Washington, was that it made them feel very patriotic. It brought back a sense of pride, which I think is, again, going back to the learning of history that we had talked about previously. So,
just out of curiosity, why did you pick George Washington instead of, say, like a Thomas Jefferson or John Adams or a Franklin or Madison?
George was probably from a recognizable point of view, but originally, actually, my friend Dan Ashley, who I had started this with, this was an idea he came up with about 30 years ago when he was a local anchor in South Carolina. And it was in the back of his mind, and we'd go out and have lunches and stuff. He says, well, I got this great idea. And that was it. George Washington comes back. That's the extent of it. So it was already there, so we kind of built on it. But and people have said, well, I hope there's a sequel. Maybe Thomas Jefferson can come back. And I'm like, you've done it once. Let's not beat it to death.
Yeah, there are some things that are just better off standalone. I agree with that. And it's not a knock on the product. I mean,
No, but I think it becomes hokey if all of a sudden now everybody from the past comes back.
Yeah.
And we'd sent it out for early reviews, and everybody wanted, they said, well, I hope you're writing a sequel. And I'm thinking, what will we do? And so JC and I are talking. I said, well, the only way we could do it is he would die in the present time, wake up in the past time, and now tell everybody what a crappy job they did. And have to change it. So that won't go down well, right? Nobody's going to like that one. So,
he'll wake up and say,
I don't think so.
He'll wake up and say, that's a bad piece of mutton.
Yeah, no, but this, we need to change all this crap. So, but
yeah. Now, in the book, George Washington, he reacts to everything from smartphones, social media.
Yeah.
So which do you think was the most fun or the most difficult to imagine through his eyes?
I think the casual laxness of society, that people didn't dress up for anything. People walking around in flip-flops and shorts or wearing pajamas on the streets. More than the technology, I think it's just because that period of time, you still had etiquette and you still had formal rules of behavior, and so I think that would have been the biggest shock for him. One of the things I did read, so as a public figure, you're like this, people would come to his house on Mount Vernon, right? They would come to his house and stay. I'm coming. And you couldn't say no as a public figure. And not only that, but you've had to feed them. They didn't cost them a damn thing. They came and mooched on your house for 2-3 weeks, and you had to sit there, feed them, and entertain them. Yeah, good luck with that one today.
Yeah, no. Today, if your doorbell rings, everybody panics.
Yeah.
It's like when I was a kid growing up, and you probably know this too. And when somebody came to your
exciting.
home, it was, this is great. Now it's like terrifying. Like, why are you here?
Well,
go.
Yeah, the only people coming are the door-to-doors people.
Well, that or Jehovah's Witnesses, or
well, I solved all that problem with a sign I have. I should have taken a photo to show you, but it just basically says, "Stop before you ring my bell." We never buy anything from anybody at the door or on the phone. Period. If you have any information you want to leave, that's fine. But if you ring this bell, you'll be meeting my dogs. And I got the door ring camera, and they come to the door and they read the sign, and they're like, one left the flyer and casually walked off. So far, it's batting 100%. Let me tell you.
I like that. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a really good. I'm gonna have to adopt something similar to that.
That was a big sign. I mean, big with a stop right in the tub.
Well, it sounds like it would be.
It was intimidating.
But then again, you are a writer, so you would of course.
Well, we tried different ones, but I thought, no, let's bring in the dogs. The dogs are definitely going to be,
Now, the book asks the question whether America has honored or drifted away from its founding ideals.
Yeah.
When readers finish the last page, what conversation do you hope they're having around the dinner table, if they're even sitting around the dinner table?
I think most people agree that it has drifted, and the question is more of whether it can be pulled back and saved, or is it going to continue? And a lot of that, I think, is because how split we are with the both parties. It's like other end of 1980s. I mean, you could disagree and share a beer and watch a football game. Nobody cared. Now it's like death to the enemy. Yeah. So I think that's the biggest challenge. But I think the book, like I said, makes people feel like they wish that it was that way again. And I think it gives them hope that maybe it can be. It doesn't offer a solution. I mean, obviously, if George Washington came back and they proved it was him, which we do, you'd listen to the man for sure. And I think somebody like that would have a lot of sway over the public opinion, much like celebrities do today, but maybe with more substance. So I think that might happen. But would they think? I think they'd be wishing that it could be. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it could, I don't know.
I was just going to ask you, what in your assessment, in your experience, and in journalism, and
well, yeah, and now it depends how much conspiracy theories you want to go into, because I mean, you can
love
look
a good
at
conspiracy
this.
theory.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm an Alex Jones fan.
Yeah. There's, if you go to the belief that, like George Carlin, I love George Carlin. George Carlin had everything spot on, right? That the owners of the country, the real owners of the country, they want things a certain way. Mm-hmm. And look at what's happening in society. You've got larger, ever-growing numbers of people that are on welfare, that are not what we would call income producing to the system. And now add in, the migrants and all of that, which I think is on purpose. It's designed to bring us down to a level where we can manage people, or where they can manage people. When George Carlin would say the owners would manage people, and between the surveillance state and the vaccine stuff and the policing and the general attitude. I mean, COVID, they did a good job scaring people with COVID,
which I think was the whole point of COVID.
Exactly. And I don't remember the name of the gentleman, the scientist who did the study, but showed only less than 20% of people are strong enough mentally to think independently and challenge rather than just go with the flow, as opposed to trust the experts, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's very, very difficult. It's really, so you're talking about the mass of people will comply with whatever is presented to them, which raises, George Orwell becomes a reality at that point. And I look at things and I say, okay, well, there's a lot of that happening right now. And projected. In fact, I'm working on research right now for another novel, which is probably next year. But it's called A Million Years from Tomorrow. But it's basically extrapolated out a couple of 100 years, and this is what you've got. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the hopeful side of me would like to see things change. The realistic side of me says the patterns are too there, and I call it drip, drip, drip. If you read the news, drip of this child molester got off from jail, drip. This guy in Britain got arrested for, praying in the street, that kind of stuff. And you look at all these drips and you say, well, eventually that's an ocean.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. I think you nailed it right on the head.
The analogy to that, though, is the one you put a frog in a pot of if you put a frog in a pot of boiling water, it jumps right out. If you put it in a pot of room temperature water and slowly turn up the heat, it'll swim until it dies.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's society.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. When you mentioned we mentioned COVID, and how many people are just bought the story, trust the government, trust the system, trust the science, all that stuff. Me personally, my philosophy has always been very simple. If the government is pushing me to do something, there's no good behind it.
Yeah.
If they're pushing that hard, I mean, if you're crying out loud, they were saying, "Hey, we'll give you free hamburgers if you go get a shot."
Well, you see that's just plain stupid. I didn't do
exactly.
that. I sat down though. I started, logically, I looked at the figures, and the figures, population, number of people got sick, number of people died, and you go, wait a minute, this is like maybe 1.2% more than flu, and of course, flu disappeared during that period of time as well.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you look at all the figures, and it's still that way. And so it's like, okay, so really why? And the irony, of course, of COVID is, the one group of people that did better than everybody else.
The billionaires.
Smokers.
Oh, smokers.
Smokers.
Yeah. I'd say the billionaires did great.
No. Well, I'm sure the billionaires too, but no, the smokers for some reason, and I don't know what that is. Maybe the nicotine. They said some counter reaction to the what's it called? The spike protein from nicotine. So.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I was one of the people that refused to get the vaccine, or the quote unquote vaccine.
Yeah.
Now in my regular job, my audience knows that I work in a nursing facility, and so it was mandatory. You had to have the shot, and I held out as long as I possibly could. Yeah. And it came down to a day, and I have to be careful how I say this because I do have some folks that from the job that watch this. It came down to my regional manager at the time called me and asked me if I was going to get the shot, and I said no, I'm not doing it. And he was like, all right, well, I got to tell you then, if you don't get the shot by tomorrow, don't come to work Monday. Okay. Goes, okay. He goes, okay. Yeah, okay. No problem. And I waited it out, and I spent the rest of the day Thursday packing up my stuff, and I spent Friday packing up my stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it was like 4:45 or something like that Friday afternoon, they sent out this blast email saying the shot is no longer mandatory.
Ah, lucky you.
And I was like, okay, fine. I guess I'm coming back to work Monday. Well, there goes that.
Yeah. And then now, of course, historically, they now say, it was never mandated. You always had a choice on taking it. Yeah, right.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You have a choice. So either you take it, and you can keep your job. You can keep. You can move about in society and all that stuff. Or you don't take it, and you can't do anything. I mean, that's your choice. That's not much of a choice.
No, the whole thing. And again, a lot of fear, and people were pressured. So it's
But one good thing.
Crazy.
One good thing came out of COVID for me here anyway. Mm-hmm. Curbside pickups. Love it.
Okay.
Love it. I don't have to go into the stores and have to mingle with the great unwashed masses. I can just sit there in the safety of my car, my dogs, and just let them.
Well, that's why they invented Amazon, isn't it?
Well, that's when Amazon really took off. Yeah, for sure. But it's great. But even my local supermarket does it, and they still do curbside. So I put my order in every week and I just go pick it up and come back. Yeah. I'm good.
Yeah, I like to go and actually pick my, especially produce, because
they've been pretty good.
Good. Lucky you.
Yeah, I have been. So it's great. Where this is going, don't know, but we're good. So without spoiling anything, was there a particular scene that surprised you as you were writing it?
How George, when he becomes a social media sensation, how he embraced that. Because you would think, stodgy founder, older guy, he's not going to be. No, I mean, he came to life, and it was actually fun to write, and we laughed a lot during writing this.
I'm just picturing
he's got to do this. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you one thing. So they meet him. Nathan meets him, and he's in his full garb, right? Mm-hmm. Beautifully stitched, everything high quality. Well, I mean, he got this one outfit. He can't wear this every day, right? So I'm like, well, let's stick him in T-shirt and jeans, right? This is where we are now. So now you got George Washington in T-shirt and jeans. So that makes
still
sense.
Wearing the powdered wig, though?
Not a wig, not a wig. No, we gave him his hair was actually at age 50 was a reddish brown, so it's just tied back.
Okay.
Yeah, so no wig.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We didn't want the stodgy old guy that you see on the money. We wanted a vibrant guy, and historically he was actually life of the party. He held lots of parties and was, I guess, a really good dancer, and women loved him. So
I saw something today. Actually, let me see if I can find it really quick.
I'm gonna hit mute for a second so I can cough.
Go right ahead. One of the things that I hate to do is go on my phone when I'm doing the show, but
Yeah,
I saw
shame on
something.
you.
I want to see if I could still find it, if I still have it around here somewhere. Okay, yeah, here it is. So I saw this meme, and I thought it was really funny. It was on Instagram, and so I shared it with a few people. I didn't save it for myself, but it says this, and it's a picture of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. So they're all gathered together in the hall there, and it says, "The bar tab of a 1787 farewell party for George Washington is still intact."
I saw that one.
All right, the founding fathers
Yes.
drank 54 bottles of Madeira, 60 bottles of claret, 8 bottles of whiskey, 22 bottles of porter or port, 8 bottles of hard cider, 12 of beer, and 7 bowls of alcoholic punch, and there were only 55 attendees.
Yeah.
These guys
But then look
partied.
at the document, though. Look at the document. And I mean, just imagine having to write that, because no computer editing. I mean, that thing was by hand, including the revisions, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Remember back in school, you make 3 mistakes and you had to do it again. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
I have not thought about
So yeah,
that.
I'm not surprised they drank like crazy.
They liked the
And
party.
also the misconception is they were all one big buddy club, right? They were not. They some of them hated each other. They did, they tolerated each other. So to sit down and say, okay, not only are we going to do this revolution where we're essentially going to be, what's that famous saying? We either hang together or we hang separately. Either we do that and tolerate each other and do this, or could not have been easy, I don't think.
Yeah, well, David McCullough's book on John Adams, I think, really told a lot of truth. He highlighted a lot of the confrontations.
Yeah.
And the arguments. I mean, and I don't mean arguments like just debate. I mean the arguments
Yeah.
that these men, endured.
Right. Well, you had
going through this whole
different. Yeah, you had multiple factions. You had ones that wanted a monarchy, wanted to have a ruler, and you had the other ones. So yeah, no, it would have been a mess. And I'm in awe a little bit of the fact that it actually got done. And then not just that, but you're doing this in the face of, your mother country coming to kill you too for being a traitor. So you had to have some measure of fortitude to really handle
absolutely
that.
agree. And that's why the popular misconception is that the Declaration was signed all in one day on July the 4th. It was not.
Yeah. No.
First of all, July 2nd is really technically Independence Day, because that's when the
Yeah.
vote took place that actually
Right.
declared independence.
Yeah.
July 4th, I think, is when they started to sign the document, but they couldn't do it all at once because they were on the run, because the British Army was just a few miles outside of Philadelphia. So
Right.
it was a hit or miss,
Yeah.
constantly on the move. So it wasn't that grandiose painting that we see.
Right,
Which,
right.
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's a beautiful depiction, but
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
historically accurate.
Right.
You know.
Well, and also everybody's in the impression, they signed the Declaration, war was over. I mean, that thing went on for another couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
And I saw something else recently too, and I have to look it up for myself. I want to read it myself, and that was the treaty that was signed by John Adams, Benjamin Franklin. I forgot who the third name was.
I don't remember.
Just slipped my mind, but talking about. Because of course, today everybody's like, this is our this country is not founded on Christian value or anything like that. Yeah, but every single founding document, including the peace treaty that was signed, all gives all credit and honor to the Creator, to God, and it just baffles me. You want to talk about revisionist history? I mean,
oh yeah, everything.
How do you not see
even
that?
in the divisions of the different branches of government. I mean, originally the Supreme Court was not intended, the judicial was not intended to be the be all and end all.
That's right.
It was sort of the arbiter, And so the way we've got it right now, where you've got the executive branch doing something and you've got Congress acting, going, like the stuff they're doing right now, completely opposite to the Constitution. But, when you're confronted by a fox, who's going to hold anybody accountable, right? When the fox is running the hen house, I should say, who's going to be held accountable? Nobody.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's very true.
Yeah.
What I love about the book is the fact that these are things that we all think about from time to time, especially if you're interested in history, American history. You always kind of wonder and say, what would the founding fathers think about what we've done to this place?
Yeah.
And the fact that you actually put it on paper,
yeah,
is brilliant. I think it's a great idea, and I really hope that it has tremendous success. And
thanks on that.
It opens up a lot of eyes.
One of the ad things I put out says, if George Washington was in your home, what would you ask him? That's a great question. Yeah,
that's a fantastic question. I'd have to think about it for a minute.
Yeah,
before I could say anything, because there's just so much.
Yeah,
there really is just so much. But not too long ago, I taught a Bible study series on America's Christian heritage, and I went through from the early founding of the colonies up through the Revolutionary War, just showing how if you really look at it and read it, you could see the hand of God in everything that took place in this country. The miraculous weather that took place that gave them shielding and cover, right, as they were moving troops around, which came from out of nowhere. The sudden low tides that beached the British Navy. It's amazing. And again, I keep falling back to the religious side of the whole thing. How can you honestly say that this country was not founded by men who believed in God?
Have you read, sticking on Washington here, the accounts of Washington before all of this and a battle with against the natives, and he was shot. They shot, and everything, parts of his costume and everything, but nothing actually injured him. And there's a story that years later, which I guess was in the history books and has been removed. Years later, I guess the Indian chief, on his deathbed, wanted to see Washington, and he said, I had to see the person who was endowed by our, not created, I don't remember what he said, by the supreme being or something. He said, I shot you 17 times, and I'm a marksman, and nothing hurt you. And I thought that was interesting too. But
that is interesting.
Yeah,
that is.
Hey, if I may, I give a little quick plug to my co-author J.C. Ryan.
Yes,
who
please.
Couldn't be here, but now you talk about authors that write a lot. He's got about 35 books out there, over 4 different series, I think, main ones. Rex Dalton Mysteries, which is really, really a lot of fun. He's got a sci-fi one called the Rossler Foundation, which his first book was The 10th Cycle, which, if you like the conspiracy theories, that we're not the first iteration on this planet. We're actually the 10th. And so it goes into that. It's actually a fun book to read. And he's got a bunch of other series as well. And I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that since he couldn't be with us on the show.
No, that's fine. And I love that idea, by the way. That we are not the first iteration.
No,
because I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And but from another direction. So and we can talk about that another time, because that'll take up the next at least 30 minutes, and we don't.
Right. You don't have that kind of time.
and well, no, because we have more to talk about. I want to talk to you about the quantum keys.
Ooh, the quantum keys, yeah. So this is a new one we're working on, which is it's going to be probably a 10-book series, is what we're looking at right now, and
that's a pretty big commitment.
Well, only because the quantum keys, it's a device that can break any security, any network, and remain invisible. So basically, it can render any systems globally redundant.
Okay.
And the inventor broke it apart. It was a unit plus these 10 keys that are sort of like enlarged USBs. And he hid them around the world. And because it was too dangerous for one person to have, and they basically wanted it and were going to kill him for it. So the story is about this family It's an international family. So he is American of Eurasian descent. She's Russian, and the two teenage twins are Chinese. And there's a backstory on how they all got together. So they're a family, but let's call them an operative family, but they're not a family really biologically, although they present themselves as such. And in the course of a job, they come across the first key accidentally. And now, of course, the moment they do, it starts transmitting. And now the people that are looking for it know and are after them. So it's going to be one glorified chase with pretty much everybody that they know in their life is going to try to kill them. But to make it even more interesting, the keys are hidden throughout the world in some obscure places that they have to go and retrieve. And how they find out where they are is part of the story. But and we have a dog in it too, a Belgian Malinois called Caesar, who is going to act as a sort of a military-style dog for them. But so we're already started writing that. We're about 4 chapters in at this time, and just careful to make sure that it's riveting. We wanted something that was going to hold an audience, not be simplistic, not be your usual fare. And I think this one might do that trick. So 10 books is because they're 10 keys. Now, of course, we may adjust that, right? But
of course, you have the literary permission to do so.
Yeah.
So then without giving up anything or too much information,
yes.
Can you tell us what the 10 keys are and why everybody wants them?
Well, each key is part of the mainframe that operates this device. So you need all 10.
Okay.
Each one has a certain function within it. They all look the same, but it needs 10 of them in order to function appropriately. And so the person who built it, we call him a mathematician, basically pulled them all apart and hid the mainframe as well, in the hope that nobody would find it. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. So lots of chase, lots of action, lots of betrayal, and through the story, of course, this family has to sort of come to terms with what they are, their relationships, and so a lot of current events in there too, with stuff. So it's fun. Again, it's fun to write, and that's one of the requirements when we sit down to do stuff. Is it has to be fun.
Yeah.
If we enjoy it, then somebody else will probably enjoy reading it.
Oh, I agree. You could tell when you read a book if the author is if that's really a subject the author really cares about, or if it's just cranking out something just to meet a deadline.
No, and this is why I don't like multiple series books, because I feel it gets a little formulaic. But
I agree.
with 10 keys, it's a little bit more elaborate on trying to get to them, and so each one sort of is a book. But we may change that as we go along, depending on how we feel the pacing is.
So quantum computing is really, if you look at it, it's really becoming less science fiction and more reality.
No, it's not science fiction at all. It's basically quantum computers, and I mean, you read all the physicists talking about quantum tunneling, and I mean, there's so Verisium talks about this too. My other book, consciousness. Everything is consciousness, and consciousness doesn't reside in the brain. It's not functionally able to reside in the brain. You've heard of the double slit experiments?
Yes, I have.
Okay, yeah, perfect example of what's real and what's not real. Well, observation creates reality, and like Schrodinger's cat, you're in a cat in a box with poison. Is it dead or alive? Well, you don't know until you open the box and see. Right. So
how much of the technology in the book so far is, or at least projected through the series, is actually based in or grounded in current technology?
I would say probably a good 60%. We're trying to use as much. Again, the first thing people do is they pick stuff apart. Oh yeah, now this city in October, it doesn't have blue skies. That kind of stuff. She wasn't wearing a red dress on Thursday; it was green. I mean. So we like it to be, obviously, but it's fiction. So, come on. Can't be 100%. It's fiction. Otherwise, it'd be called a documentary or nonfiction. So
there you go. It's like an old teacher of mine used to say, anytime he would make a mistake, he goes, all right, now all the correctorsons are going to come up and tell me what I did wrong.
Yeah. So, but I like interesting ideas, and So a book I finished also, which is in editing right now, is called A Boy Called Swift. And this is my brain at work here, but it's about a boy who's born with a rare genetic condition. He ages 10 times faster physically and mentally. So his entire lifespan is going to take place in about 9.5 years, right? And how do you turn that, which sounds pretty depressing, into a terrific love story and a life story? And the message being that every second counts. So this one, I think people might, well, women will cry. I don't know. The men might shed a tear or two, but you never know.
I doubt it.
I doubt it. They won't read it. That's the thing. The women will read it. The men won't touch it.
Well,
they'll use it as a drink coaster.
There you go. I think though that you could probably make a movie out of that, or at least a miniseries.
That'd be nice,
right?
That'd be nice.
Then you'll get a guy to watch, because he'll have to, because she'll make him watch.
She'll make him come, right? Exactly.
There you go.
Well,
exactly.
I know. Well, I have an ad. I'm putting together ads and stuff, and it's like, guys, buy this book for your girl. I know you won't read it, but buy it for her. She'll love it. So,
it's great.
Yeah, play stuff like that. Yeah.
You got to be creative, man. You got to be creative.
Yeah.
So which of the projects have stretched you more as a writer? Bringing George Washington to the present, or imagining the future through the quantum keys?
George was a lot of research, but that was over a period of time. Quantum keys is probably a lot more difficult because it's very current. Yeah, I think that would probably be right. Out of all of them, yeah, that. And Swift was difficult too, because trying to be credible with it without it being simplistic and not interesting. That was, I think. I think the Boy Named Swift is emotionally more difficult, and Keys is intellectually more difficult.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So just to kind of dip back into the political theater for a second, what do you think? What do you think a misconception a lot of readers have about political thrillers?
It's difficult to say. I mean, people either. Okay, so people misconception of political thrillers. Well, I mean, they either want something, or they want it to be a certain way, in which case they're rabidly against it, or they're open-minded and want to go along for the ride. But I don't think there's a. Yeah, it's a tough question, because I think it really depends on who you're trying to get to read it. I think the people that will read a political thriller don't get too many misconceptions, because they kind of know exactly what they're getting into, So, like read a Daniel Silva or something. I mean, you get the fans. They like your body of work, and JC and I both we write across genres, and what you find is you get readers that love one genre and don't like the other. Even though they love what he does and they like his writing or my writing, they won't. Oh yeah, I don't want to buy that one. Just stick with this one.
Is there ever a time when you're writing, because like you said, you write cross genres, where you get some bleed over between one particular genre that you're writing for into another?
Yeah, not that often, but when that happens, you've just changed genres, right? So if I started as fiction and I've got some futuristic crap in there, then it's now science fiction. So yeah, so I don't think that's too much of an issue. Now, the harder part, I think, is sitting down and actually. There's a lot of work that goes into a novel, and people tend not to realize that. If you listen to an audiobook of a novel, that's probably about 7 to 10 hours, depending on the size of the book. Try writing that. And now you've got to remember in chapter 2, line 4, I said this, and oh wait, did I say that when you're hitting chapter 10? I mean, you've got to have some organizational system so you don't wind up duplicating, and we do. I mean, this path had a duplication in it, which I caught at the end. So
do you outline?
Oh yeah. I outline, and then I try to throw a spanner in the works. I want to know, how am I going to destroy this? When I first started writing years and years ago, I wanted happy stories, happy ending stories. And I went and I took a screenwriting class, and the first thing they said was two things. One was, you start with something beautiful and you break it immediately. and the rest of the movie is trying to figure out how if you can put it back. And then the second rule was if there's a gun in the wall in the first act, somebody better shoot it. And so you have to plot to get, you have to get, well, otherwise what's the point of it?
What's the point of it, right?
Yeah, why is it there? Because everything, you've got such a short amount of time, you need to make sure everything has its point and its place. And I think with novels, it's the same thing. You'll read a novel, and you always have the B story, right? So you start chapter 1, oh, this is riveting, fantastic. And you get to chapter 2, and you're having to learn something new, and these people aren't interesting. And you're like, oh, shit, I'm just going to speed through this. And you get to chapter 3, and you get back to the interesting stuff again. And this is how a lot of authors come up with 300 pages. Okay? I don't want to do that. I want it to be, no, you keep turning that page. Because otherwise, I'm kind of cheating you out. I'm just putting in padding and filler in there. Unless, of course, the characters are really relevant to the plot.
Mm-hmm. How many of your characters, outside of the George Washington book, of course, how many of your characters are actually based off of people that you know?
Not that many. Maybe about 20%. Yeah.
Just pulling out personality traits?
Personality traits, mannerisms, speech patterns. I'm the guy that used to go and sit in a restaurant or a bar and just listen to everybody talk and go, ooh, that's interesting. And write it down. Yeah. Didn't care about them. It's like, oh, yeah, well, that'd be a great book title, you know? Like, here's a title. This one I heard this one at a restaurant, The Era of Synthetic Reality.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I thought, wow, I love that one. I wrote it down. That was about 4 years ago. And,
all right. So question on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. How much of the book had you already written before you got the title?
Well, this is a book on short stories. So a couple of the short stories had been written. The rest of them I had to write.
Okay.
Yeah. But the title one I had to write. I had to figure out.
One of the things I've always been curious about with writing, 'cause I'm not a writer. I mean, I have a book idea that I have in my closet over here somewhere, and I've been kind of sitting on it for many years. But one of the things that I was interested in is like, does the title of the book inform you, or do you write the book first then come with a title?
Either way, I personally think the title of the book the three things that should grab the reader as they're walking by the aisles at Barnes & Noble. The title, you go, oh, and the cover, ooh, and then you read the blurb on the back. And then they'll open it, read randomly, they'll pick a passage and go, okay, I think I can do this one, right? And so I think the title is important. It does not have to be necessarily related. Like the novel, The Boy Named Swift. His name is not Swift. I just like that title. I thought, okay, because it's implying speed and the fact he's aging fast. So I thought, okay. It worked. On the cover it works. The imagery on the cover works as well. So no, I think more importantly that you come out with something that's a strong idea and the audience likes it and that you don't let them down. Mm-hmm. So I had two murder mysteries, Texas Dead. They're both called Texas Dead, Season of Death, and the second one's A Season of Despair. We have a female detective, Maxie. And she's a sort of I originally called her a celebrity detective, stylishly dressed and everything else. Hard nails, just absolutely hard. And her Jamaican partner, Kobe Jameson. And so, that was the only thing I had of the two of them as they're starting. And then I'm sitting there and I had a cocktail and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, she would be snarky. And this is what she would say. And then he doesn't use contractions. He uses, full sentences. Mm-hmm. And so he would give her back a kind of a jab that's not really a jab, Anyway, I started peppering it with all of those things. Everybody liked that. That just stood out. That was one of the biggest comments I heard was, love the interaction between the two of them.
That's great.
Yeah. So, excuse me, I'm going to cough again. So I have to cover this.
No, go right ahead. You said something interesting too about, the title, the book cover, and the blurb.
Yeah.
It's interesting because just this past weekend, I had a conversation with a friend of mine that's really involved in the podcasting world. He's a professional podcaster. And he said the same exact thing about podcasting. It's your title,
I think for everything.
It's your title, your thumbnail, and your description.
Yeah. Well, in movies, when you try to pitch a movie, it's called the elevator pitch. And you really should have your movie distilled down to one sentence, two max, that you're right in the elevator with the producer that you might want to do it. You got to sell them on that, and you've got that short elevator ride.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to do it? And really, that's
that makes
it's
sense.
called grab them. Yeah. So I think that's true for everything, and because attention spans are short these days. And
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
When I grew up, when I was growing up in the 80s, I would read James Clavell and, Alexander Solzhenitsyn's 11, 12, 1,400-page book. And Clavell was pretty big, too. Same with Missioners, all big.
Mm-hmm.
And you opened the book, and it was a small book, and it was like 10-point font. It was single-spaced. I mean, that page was packed with text. Now you go to the bookstore, you read like Twilight, and you open it up. It's 300 and something pages, but it's like 14-point font for blind people, triple-spaced. And
yeah, kind of like the way I leave my notes, this way I can see them.
Yeah, but my point being, the attention span is so small, nobody could write a book like that anymore.
Yeah, well, and I agree with that too, because and my example is, because I'm not a writer, is the podcast. So what I've noticed is the shorts, the clips that I do from the show actually gain tremendous numbers compared to the actual downloads of the audio and the video and the live views.
Yeah.
And it's because nobody wants to take the time to sit there and actually get involved. So many people have told me to get out of doing long form talk and just doing
No, I
short
think
shows.
I think long form talk is fine. I think, but again, it's grabbing the interest first.
Yeah.
If you grab somebody's interest, then they'll ride with you.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
definitely, it's a better way. What we should talk about though is AI in writing, because I know this is a big sore spot for a lot of people, and people are like, I don't want to use AI, and it's like, oh, you use Grammarly? Okay, well that's AI. Sorry. So we use AI in a different way. We will come up with our ideas and we'll pitch it out, and then we'll put it into an AI and just say, what do you see as the problems? What might make this better? And then we'll sit down and go work that through. And then, draft it out. Same with the characters. Here's my description of the character. Tell me what you think is missing. And then we'll go sit down and redraft it. And the only use of that tool is basically to get a little feedback. And then after we write the chapter and we go through it, we'll feed it through an AI for inconsistencies and, whether it's crap, basically. And of course, ChatGPT will go, no, this is a bestseller, right?
The best thing you've ever done, and the best thing anybody's ever written.
Yeah, sound like Trump, right? It's the best
Tolstoy
thing ever
who?
written in the world. Yeah. But I think AI is useful for a writer because the biggest use is rapid research in a short period of time. Mm-hmm. And I previously taught a writing class, and one of the things I told students is I said, you don't have to actually go somewhere to be able to accurately describe it. And a really good tool, okay, so let's say I'm Jamaica. Let's say I go search up, I need a restaurant in Jamaica. Okay, so now I can look up Google Streets, I can stand in front of a restaurant. I can look up the restaurant online, see the menu. I can read the comments. Oh, Joseph the waiter, he was fantastic. He sang this Polish song. How nice, how quaint. He loves anniversaries and comes over and brings flowers to the table. Perfect. Look at the people's comments about, oh yeah, that has a smoky ambiance, or, the music they play is really soft jazz, or, and the food came, it was just, so now you've got all the sight, sound, smell, price tag. All right. You've got the street view. You've got the interior view. You go back to Google Streets. You can look around. What's the neighborhood like? Is it crappy? Is it poor? What are the cars like? So get a sense of the kind of the neighborhood. Am I going to get robbed coming out of this restaurant?
Right.
And then you can do just from all the stuff that's available online, and you can get a lot of that in less than 5 minutes from an AI.
Yeah.
Because it's going through the entire web. Whereas you're going to take time and have to go through ads and all that other stuff, and it says, oh no, here's your list of all these possible points that you can talk about. Now you just have to put it together.
Right.
I still think AI, if you use AI to write, I think it's always a mistake, because AI, it has a way of writing that so it'll give you something like, the woman walked in a bar, give you that, and you try to get it to do something, and it says, oh yeah, let's change it. The woman walked in a bar, unlike how women always walk in the bar when they're in that frame of mind for some reason that only they understand. It's like, what the hell was that?
Right.
No,
I
the
know.
woman walked in the bar. End it. The rest of it's crap. It's AI filler crap. And you can always tell. You can read books, and it's like it comes out with these weird things that people have. So
Oh, you can tell when something is AI generated compared
sometimes,
to. Well, I was going to come to that, but it is
Yeah.
getting harder to pick it out.
Yeah.
I think as AI is maturing, I guess, it's going to be even harder a month from now to decipher.
Yeah, I
what's
think a
from
lot of
AI
it though
or not.
is garbage in, garbage out. If you give, you say to AI, okay, write me a book about what it's like coming on Joe's show, and give some dialogue and tell me about him, and then you're going to get crap. It's going to be superficial crap. It'll churn out whatever word count you want. But if you want something really, really in depth, AI, like any computer program, is the amount of work you put in is what you're going to get out. So, and this is where I think authors, and students who like to use it, they make the mistake because they just plug it in very superficially.
Yeah.
You can do that, but honestly, a good story is a good story, and I don't think an AI is going to give you a good story.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think writing, in terms of writing style, the simplest approach is, don't say to AI, go give me something that James Clavell would write or Daniel Silva wrote, because that's not you. I mean, come out with your own voice, which you get from writing, and people that read your stuff tend to recognize, oh yeah, I recognize that voice.
Yeah.
He always does this,
He has this
So-
little twig.
Yeah,
Tick,
yeah.
tick, twig.
I did do
twitch.
a funny test, though, I will tell you. So I did take a passage. I had AI write a passage, one AI. I had 3 of them open. And I had one AI, and I said, you got to write me this passage, but it cannot be detected as AI. It must be human written. And then I plugged it into another AI that detects AI. And it's 100% AI written. So I went back to the first one and said, you got busted. It said 100% AI. Oh, yeah. Let me revise it. We went 5 iterations of this, okay? And it was all AI. And then finally I turned around and I just rewrote the paragraph and put it in. It was like, oh, yeah, 100% human. So, but.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I get you totally. So we're going to start to wrap this up here, buddy. But
Yes, sir.
I do want to ask you this though. What book have you written that you think deserves to get more attention than it has?
Okay. I'd say all of them.
Why not?
No, I don't really think one. I mean, they're plodding along. They're all doing okay. Every book can always do better. And but yeah, I mean, I'd like to see the path probably get a lot more traction. We were hoping more visibility for the 4th of July. But it's gaining. I mean, it's doing quite well. So
Great.
But yeah.
Outstanding.
Yep.
All right, last 2 questions for you. Ready?
Yes. Purple. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, okay. Well, if it
No.
could be. So who is someone that you respect, and what are they doing, or what have they done that inspires you?
As writers, you mean, or
No,
anywhere?
Anywhere.
I respect Elon Musk. I think Elon has done a lot. I think he gets a bad rap for, this trillionaire status, and people don't understand he's not actually got $1 trillion. It's just the paper worth, and then they, claim he doesn't pay his taxes. Well, okay, he doesn't actually have it. It's, unearned income, so he's not paying taxes. And then he takes loans out on it. You don't pay taxes on your loans, so smart. And by the way, everybody that has money in this country does the same thing. So
Exactly.
I think Elon has we were stagnant after NASA's, not going back to the moon and everything. And along comes this guy and says, yeah, I'm going to build rockets. And then I'm going to build rockets that are, going to be caught by this crane with chopsticks on it. It's going to pinpoint land, and we're going to reuse the thing. And eventually we're going to, I mean, come on. This is the sci-fi stuff that you used to dream about as a kid, back in the Asimov days. This is exciting. And then, of course, Starlink is a wonderful thing. So, no, so I think, I admire Elon. I think he's done a lot, and I think he gets a lot of criticism it isn't deserved. And I also think Trump, too. Trump has, the man didn't need to do squat at his age.
I agree.
And I think he is the last bastion of anything that's countering the wave that was otherwise coming. And if we, lose the midterms, then things won't be so pretty. But
I agree.
yeah. So
unfortunately, though, I do think we are going to lose the midterms.
Yeah, I kind of thinking that too. But I'm urging everybody to stop vote. If you're a Republican, stop voting Republican, go independent.
Mm-hmm. Because
these people need to know no money coming, because they sure the hell not listening to the constituents.
No, they don't care. They have their owners.
Yes, their owners, right? Exactly.
That's it. All right, last question for you, my friend. Where can people go to find out more about you and your work, sir?
Bottom of the screen here, MrWriter.com.
Outstanding.
Everything goes there. I have a bunch of different websites, but they're all linked to that. Easy to find, easy to spell.
All right. Well, we'll make sure we have all that stuff in the show notes, and we will get all that information out to the public. They can easily click the links because we do hyperlinks in our notes.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
So very, very good.
Yeah.
All
Joe,
right.
Thank you for having me.
William, thank you, man. This was fantastic.
I
have the digital copy of the book.
You want a physical one?
I would love one.
Let's talk after the show.
Yes, sir. We will. 'Cause I prefer actual books. I don't like digital stuff. So, because someday someone's going to come and say, you know what, you're not allowed to have that, and take it away from you.
Yep.
So
exactly.
There you go. All right, William Gensburger, thank you so much, sir. I'm going to put you backstage. I'm going to wrap this baby up, and I'll come right back to you.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All righty. William Gensburger. Make sure you get the book, The Path. Great, great stuff. And really, I'm telling you, from what I've read of it so far, I am impressed. Very, very impressed. I enjoy it. I love stories like this. I loved it. You heard me say it in the show. We talked about it briefly. It's one of those things that a lot of folks always ask. What would the founding fathers say about what we've done to this place? And I think they would have some choice words and some choice actions. I think a lot of things would have been taken care of a lot quicker. And let's just leave it at that. All right, folks. Look, every generation believes in challenges. Every generation believes its challenges are unique. But history tends to remind us that every generation has faced moments that tested its character. And whether we're talking about George Washington, artificial intelligence, political division, simply just choices, ordinary people make every day, one truth remains. Nations are ultimately shaped by the character of their citizens. Now, tonight wasn't telling you about what to think. It was really more to encourage you to think. And good books have a way of doing that. And I think The Path is a good book to dive into. It will answer a lot of your questions. Now, I know it's a fiction book, but it will answer a lot of those questions that rattle around in your head. Books like this, they entertain us, but they also invite us to examine ourselves, our principles, and the kind of legacy that we hope to leave behind. So once again, I want to say thank you to William Gensburger for joining us tonight, and I want to thank you for being part of this here as we trudge our way along. So, of course, now shout-outs to our producing team, executive producers Wayne Rankin, Rosanna Rankin, Carolina Jimenez, Angela Watuski, and John Seeley. All of these folks donate their time, their talent, and their treasure to help put these shows together. And without them, we couldn't do it. So we really do appreciate them. And IMDb, we are now listed on IMDb, and all those people that I just listed have an official IMDb credit that they can put on their resume that they are producers of a podcast. So congratulations. All right. That's the least we could do for our team. But if you want to find out more about how you can help us out, very, very easy way to do that. Just head over to the website, joerooz.com/support. That's joerooz.com/support, and you will find all of the different ways you can do it, whether it's a one-time donation, recurring donation, or if you sign up to be an associate producer, a producer, or an executive producer of the show. It's all right there. So just go take a look at it when you have a chance. And if you have the means and you're able to do it and you're willing to do it, jump on board. We'd love to take you on and give you some great things to do. Okay? All right. Well, I think with all of that said, it is just about time for us to say good night Folks, one more time, thank you to our guest, William Gensburger. Thank you for being here with us. And check out the book, check out the website, check out our website, joerooz.com. Let us know what you think. All right, folks, that will do it for us here. Remember, make Texas independent again. Go podcasting. Keep a steady stride. But more importantly than all of that, you have to keep talking. We'll see you next time, folks. Good night and goodbye.